We all share some common goals as humans, to lead happy, productive lives, and to find meaning in our personal journeys. And just as we are a world of individuals, so too our paths are unique and individual. Some of these paths, however, might have a common thread, coming from and leading to the most unlikely of places. In this story, we'll meet some folks who have traveled the paths from dog tags to desktops.
My name is Jerry Field, and I'm from Mountaintop, Pennsylvania. I served in the United States Regular Army from 1961 through 1964, and I had achieved the rank of E5. In the military, you have to learn to account for yourself. There's no one else going to look out for you. So I learned punctuality, self-respect, and working in a large team. Upon leaving the Army, I went back to doing what I had done prior to going in as part-time work, and that's driving truck and working in quarries. And I can remember quite distinctly one day waiting outside the gate of the quarry to open so I could go to work. I thought, rather than to be the person who is told what to do for the day, I think I would like to become the person that tells the others what to do for the day. And that was my first idea to perhaps try continuing my education. That thought by itself would not have done it had it not been for the ability of the GI Bill paying for my tuition.
My name is Joe Garvey. I am a graduate of Keystone Junior College. I attended Keystone on the GI Bill, and during my military career, I lived in the United States, was stationed in the United States, and also overseas in Korea. In entering the military, the discipline that gave me over the 3 years of my service inspired a desire to be successful.
My name is Courtney Tyler, and when I was in the military, I served in the Pennsylvania Army National Guard as a sergeant. Now, upon completion of college, I am a coordinator for recruitment and outreach for Keystone College. The military helped me out with my current goals and my career goals by providing me with the GI Bill. I was eligible for the post 9/11 GI Bill, which provided me with substantial financial assistance while I was going to school. I think the military helps every person to look at somebody's situation and take the best from it, because we were in horrible, horrible circumstances, and we still managed to go to a church service and sing a song and come out smiling. Our barracks had just been hit by rockets. 2 hours later, we were at church singing, because what else were we going to do? So we just had to find the best in the situation. When I was in Iraq, I read a lot, and for me it was an escape, because when I was reading, I could not think about the things that were around me, and I could just think about what was going on in the book I was reading.
My name is Nick Scandell, and I'm from Clark Summit, Pennsylvania. I'm a lifelong civil engineer. Right after I graduated high school, 2 weeks later, I volunteered for it was an Army specialized training program. The basics of that was that I went to Carnegie Mellon, who was Carnegie Tech at the time, for 3 months, and then they transferred us to Virginia Tech for 6 months. When you were coming out of the service and going to school on the GI Bill, there would be many others coming out of the service and going on the GI Bill. So you better have some quality in your education, and you better have a good determination.
Hi, my name's Mark Wardy. I'm currently the Keystone College webmaster. My military service was with the United States Air Force. My highest rank I've obtained in the Air Force was Airman First Class, serving in Texas and the theater of Riyadh, Saudi Arabia during Operation Desert Storm. My military service taught me to be a better person and to fight for your country and to be patriotic. I've been fortunate enough to come back through college through the VA Chapter 31 Vocational Rehabilitation program. I had some small injuries during service time, and luckily enough they've been willing to provide me with the training that I need to get me where I am today.
Probably my biggest passion is about business success. It was the same thing that we drilled into our people all the time. You know, it was always better to do it once than to do it twice. And they heard that so many times it wasn't even funny. But that was kind of our passion, is to be good in what we did.
I feel as though in this country, and perhaps in the world, I can't speak to that, but I can speak in this country anyway, that individuals have become emotional silos. They know how to text with their phone, but they have a lot of trouble communicating face to face. If I can listen to a piece of music and I can hear a thought conveyed that touches my heart and my mind, that's one of the biggest things I look at today. I think we need a rallying cry of some type in this country, and if I had the talent to do it, I would be doing it through music.
What I'm most passionate about today is my son being a Boy Scout. I'm helping my boy to obtain the ranks, to obtain the rank of Eagle. Boy Scouts is definitely not about just rope climbing and camping. It teaches leadership to the boys, to live by the 12 points of the Scout law and the Scout oath.
I'm passionate about ethical behavior. I think that in my career and my profession and what I've seen over 40 years between public accounting and corporate work, and the last 14 in higher education, I think there's nothing more important.
I think right now in my life I'm passionate about helping people. Currently it's helping people with their education. I have in the last year helped 3 high school students from my area complete coursework. I have helped students who are going to a college anywhere in the United States with their FAFSA just because I want to. I recently helped a veteran who is 66 years old find some additional funding so he doesn't have to pay his entire tuition out of pocket. Anything that I can do to help somebody, especially with their education, is what really is fulfilling to me and helps me to wake up every day.
Probably the scariest thing is getting off the boat when we were going into Okinawa, because we got off these. It was a troop ship, and you got onto a little LST, and with your bag and baggage and everything that you owned, you had to climb down the net. And the seas were rough, and that little boat on the bottom was coming up and down 5-6 feet of that thing. You were supposed to climb down the net into that little boat and it'd take you away. Well, guys were falling, guys were getting caught in the net, and then the next thing was what was going to be when you landed. Fortunately for us, things where we got in on land pretty peaceful. It wasn't too bad.
I would think that the scariest moments, or the thing that caused me the most fear, was probably in around 1951 or 1952 when my next brother down, my brother Fred, developed polio in the epidemics. In those years, in the late 40s and 1950s, there were huge polio epidemics through the United States before the Salk vaccine was completely used throughout the country. And He was hospitalized for 6 months in an iron lung, and they weren't sure he was going to live. But everything turned out very well. He did live.
My scariest, probably most intense time in the military was the night the Persian Gulf War had kicked off. It was a Wednesday evening, January 16th. I was on call at my base, and the base commander had me going around and putting barricades. I was a heavy equipment operator, so we were putting barricades around the base to block off the flight line, the weapons storage area, the main gate. It was a pretty intense time for me, you know, not knowing what was going to happen. The next day when the war had kicked off, we had protesters out at our front base protesting the base. So knowingly that those barricades that I had put up had done some good to keep our troops secure made me feel pretty good after all of that.
Just prior to leaving Panama, the residents of Panama, as they had done many times prior, wanted to take possession of the Panama Canal. There was a narrow strip of land on either side that were called the United States Canal Zone, the Panama Canal Zone. And the Panamanians did not like that. There were snipers on the Panamanian side shooting across the Avenue of Americas into the U.S. Side. And part of my duties, we went to try and get some intelligence on that and monitor that from a hilltop. We didn't really know where that was going to go, and we could lay in the barracks at night and hear the gunshots, so that was some scary moments.
I was selected as a Lioness team member to search Iraqi women at one of the first democratic elections that Iraq ever had. It was in Ramadi in the Anbar province of Iraq, and there had been a lot of unrest there, and we were stationed at what was the equivalent to the Department of Motor Vehicles in Iraq. While we were there, I was pulling security and I had my weapon in my hands, and a gentleman with 3 children started to walk towards me, and we were told no one was to get within a certain distance from the election site. He started to walk towards me, and I followed the rules of engagement, and I yelled to him, "Ogfu, Keef, halt, stop," and he continued to walk towards me. As I raised my weapon and flipped my selector level from safe to semi, I yelled one more time, and he finally stopped walking. But it was the only time where I, as a mechanic, thought I was actually going to have to take someone's life, and I know there are numerous soldiers who did have to. But for that split second that I thought I was going to have to take this man's life was absolutely terrifying and a feeling that I'll never forget.
My biggest inspiration would have to be my dad. He always took me by his side and taught me what was right and what was wrong. And if I did wrong, he would always say, "Didn't I tell you that? I told you so." Never going to lead you down the wrong path, and to this day he hasn't. Great person.
My inspiration are those people who are close to the earth and work hard. It's what made this country what it is today. I think of some type of folk music and those people who can write and sing those songs. And I wish I had that talent to convey to others what I feel inside, and that I could convey it in such a manner that it would touch them as a lot of music and songs would touch me.
My wife, she is extremely, extremely supportive in everything, even with moving from location to location, and everything I've ever done.
My biggest inspiration is probably my father and my grandfather, my papi, we called him. My father was in the Coast Guard for about 4 years, and my papi was a soldier in World War II and was actually stationed at Aberdeen Proving Ground, Maryland, which is where I was stationed to do my advanced individual training. The thing I'm the most proud of in the military was probably completing basic training. There were many people who didn't think I could do it because I wasn't exactly the most physically fit person in my area. But then when I came home from Iraq was really the most proud moment of my life. Stepping off the plane in Pennsylvania in July of 2006 was amazing.
One of them, there's several proud moments over my lifetime, but certainly seeing our children grow into very responsible adults, I think that's probably what I am most proud of right now.
When I was working with an engineering company, we were fortunate to be combined with another company from Philadelphia to design the Naval Field House in Annapolis, Maryland. So on a football trip down there at one time, we were with a group and they took us to the field house. And I had the proudest moment of my life to brag that I helped build that field house.
Proudest moment, my 3 children and my wife at home. Definitely the life of me. They keep me going on a daily basis. Good times and bad, you know, and life isn't perfect all the time, and definitely a good time with them and the activities and watching them grow and learn as life goes on. My most memorable achievement was graduating from college. Big thing I never thought I would do. I always remembered, you know, my military qualities to keep moving forward and pressing forward and succeeding in accomplishing a given goal and task.
Career-wise, I think getting my master's, my MBA from the University of Maryland when I was 50 years old, when I was living in Washington, and also passing the CPA exam, which is a difficult exam in itself, and I have been successful in my career as an accountant. And so I think all of those combined have been memorable.
My greatest accomplishment now is definitely my children. I have a 4-year-old son and a 10-month-old son, and just seeing them every day and knowing what I've been through in the past, it just really makes every day worthwhile.
If I had the opportunity to speak to young individuals today, based on my experience, I would certainly recommend that they take advantage of any opportunities that's afforded them. As I mentioned in my own personal case in the military, I had an opportunity to get an education and a home.
June 26, 2002, I joined the National Guard because I didn't know what else to do. And I knew I needed to do something with my life, and it wasn't work at the local gas station.
When you're at an age to make a determination to go to school, you really are not clear on what you want to be coming out the other side. It's a very, very difficult thing to do. And to me, blessed are those who know this is what I want to grow up and be.
Like I told my kids all the time, I says, the elevator runs from the basement to the penthouse. You should know what floor you want to get off on.
The military has taken me through my life every step of the way. There were great times and there were horrible times that I try to forget, but I would not change any of it because I've gotten to a really great place right now.
Get an education. Try to get it in something that, as best you can tell, you will enjoy for the rest of your life. And don't let anger or anyone else's opinions or things they might say to you sway you from pursuing that path.